Hey guys, this is No Solution. I'm Scott, and a couple little topics today. But first of all, I wanted to give a public service announcement, I guess, about a scam. I was on Instagram and I saw an ad for Vinyl Me Please, I thought, saying, we're at the final stages, we're going out of business, and, come visit our clearance sale. Now, I was never a customer of Vinyl Me Please, but I remember seeing videos that they were in trouble, maybe going out of business. So it seemed plausible to me. So I went on this clearance site and started looking around, and holy shit, the deals to be had were amazing. Operation Mindcrime double vinyl for $8, I think. Passage de Verre album, 4 LPs for $14. So I'm excited. I'm adding things to the cart, and $40 and over is free shipping. So I added a bunch of stuff to my cart, and then finally the fever wore down, and I was like, this seems too good to be true. So I went and looked, and it is too good to be true. I guess these sites have been popping up on Facebook and Instagram. They're not real. Vinyl Me Please is not going out of business. So I like to think I'm so smart, but they had the exact right hook for me. Unfortunately, they made it way too good to be true. So eventually I wised up and checked into it, and it is not real. So if you see that, don't click on it. I don't know who's putting these sites up, but they just want your credit card number. So anyway, let's move on from that. I am wearing a Dream Theater shirt because I'm going to be talking briefly about the new Dream Theater album. And it's not a glowing review, I must say. If you want a more in-depth review, check out Alex at Beer and Vinyl. He did a long video about this. I'll leave a link below. Great channel, great dude, and big Dream Theater fan. Dream Theater is my favorite band for 15 or so years, probably up through Systematic Chaos, I would say. And then I kind of started having problems with them, and then Portnoy left, and they've had good albums since then. Good, I would say, but not ones I really come back to. Besides The Astonishing, I don't think they've ever had a bad album. But Mike Portnoy, the founding drummer, came back, and he was a big part of kind of the mythology of Dream Theater and arranging these special shows and coming up with a set list for shows and making sure they rotated and things like that. So I was excited to have him back, and maybe my expectations were too high because this is the new album from Dream Theater, the first one with Mike Portnoy since I think 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Parasomnia. Beautiful artwork. And I'm not going to pull the book out, but there's dedicated artwork for each song, which is a really nice touch. First of all, the theme of it is dreams and nightmares. I don't know, is there anything more boring than somebody telling you about their dreams? You know what I mean? That's kind of how I felt about the lyrics on this. I've kind of not been into their lyrics for quite some time. I think they're kind of simplistic and a bit silly. But yeah, that just kind of continued. Musically, it sounds like Dream Theater. I mean, I'll give it that. There's the really cool instrumental parts and the solos and whatnot. A big criticism of Dream Theater throughout the years has been they're great players, but they forget to write songs. And I have not agreed with that most of the time when it's been said. But with this, I kind of have to agree. The songs I don't think are that strong. Besides, Alex actually agreed with, or he had the same opinion as me. Bend the Clock, which is kind of the ballad on this, I think is the strongest song. Mostly, it's just kind of I don't know, they're kind of there, and I'm just kind of waiting for the solos and whatnot, which, that's not great. And it's long. I mean, Dream Theater albums are usually long, but this is long too. It's like an hour and 10 minutes or so, spread across 6 real tracks and then an intro and an interlude. It makes me sad. I mean, I really, really, really wanted to like this. and I don't hate it. It's not bad. But I listened to this a bunch of times, and even in the early days now is diminishing returns. Like I just now when I think about listening to it, I was like, oh, it's so long and it's not that great, and I could listen to two other great albums in the time it takes to listen to this one. I'm not that into. I don't know, maybe it will change, but as of now, it's kind of a miss for me. I don't know. You know, I've changed. I'm sure over the years they've changed, and we just don't mesh like we used to, which is sad when it used to be your favorite band. But that's my little mini, not really review, but just thoughts about the new Dream Theater. What I wanted to do, kind of mainly on this, was do a defense of these two albums, the Use Your Illusion albums by Guns N' Roses. Keith from Attack from Down Under had recently done a video about overrated bands, and he mentioned Guns N' Roses and said that he wasn't that into these. He thought there were kind of a lot of filler on them. I do not agree with that. And it's okay. We're still friends, but I'm trying to contextualize this in that I think Guns N' Roses has a kind of mythical quality to me based on how old I am and the age I was when they came up. I really do kind of romanticize their career, coming up from basically nothing from the club scene and just kind of being street kids and basically drug addicts, and Appetite for Destruction becoming so huge, and then them becoming the biggest band in the world for a few years, and then it just kind of all flaming out and falling apart. So they had Appetite, they had Lies, which I think is classified as a full length, but it's not really. It's like a double EP, one of which is from '86, the fake live album, and then the acoustic part, and then these, and then that was basically it for the, I guess you would say, classic era of the band. There was the, 14-year delay for Chinese Democracy, and then it came out, and everyone was like, really? That's that? It took that long to come out with this? But I feel like with these, they're each an hour and 15 minutes long, so you got 2.5 hours of music. A lot of these songs already existed around the Appetite for Destruction era, so they had those in, and then all their new stuff. I really like the variety on these. It's not as much as I like Appetite for Destruction. It's kind of like the same vibe throughout, you know, kind of that more aggressive hard rock. And on here we've got, you know, everyone kind of contributing their own different flavors to it. You know, we've got those kind of songs from Appetite, like I would say You Could Be Mine would fall in that category. But you've got like the more bluesy songs from Izzy. You've got some punk elements in it. You've got like boogie woogie rock and a lot more keyboards, a lot more heavy keyboards or piano. Adding Dizzy Reed as a full-time member probably contributed to that. And then you've got Axl's like Elton John-esque epics like November Rain and Estranged. I just think all in all, man, these are two amazing albums, 2.5 hours worth of material that I really wouldn't cut barely anything from. I mean, this could be, you know, 4, possibly 5 albums from another band, especially like if you go back to like the 70s when albums were like a half hour long. I just wanted to call out like some of my favorites on here that maybe kind of deeper cuts. I really enjoy Izzy's contributions on here. He would leave shortly after. I think he left during the tour for this, or early on in the tour. But Dust and Bones, just an awesome bluesy song. Then we've got Double Talk and Jive is another one of his that I really like. And on this one, 14 Years is one of my favorite songs covered off of both of the albums. I just really love that one. Yeah, and I do have a bit more of a connection to this one because this is the one I had as a kid. If you don't know, they were sold separately, and you know, didn't have much money as a kid, so I had to choose which one I wanted. So I ended up picking this one. So I've heard this one way more just because I had it on cassette back then. But really, they're both I think they're both fantastic albums. This is a little more hard rocking, and this is a little bluesier all around. But yeah, great stuff. And just call out some more favorites on here. Breakdown just has a really kind of easygoing vibe, but then the solos kick in, and just I think some of the most fantastic guitar solos off of both of the albums. And Estranged, I have to call it Estranged because I think it was a it was a single because there was a video. If you remember kind of the trilogy of videos, it was Don't Cry, November Rain, and then Estranged. And Estranged wasn't that big of a song, but it's just such a strange song, a very unconventional structure. There's not really a verse chorus structure to it. It's a lot of, I believe it was Axl wrote it on the piano, but then Slash came in and added so many cool guitar riffs, like supporting what was going on. And then if you've seen the video, it's burned into my memory. There's Axl's jumping off an aircraft carrier and he's drowning in the ocean and there's dolphins all around. And then the guitar solo hits at about 8 minutes and Slash comes up from the ocean. It's so dumb, but it's so awesome. It epitomizes what they were to me at that time. They were just mythic. Slash comes up out of the ocean and just rips off a fantastic guitar solo. And then, then the album closes with You Could Be Mine, the kind of the first single before the albums came out that was in the Terminator 2 soundtrack. And then an alternate version of Don't Cry. That it kind of ties it all together. We've got Don't Cry early on in this one, and then the alternate version kind of closes this out. The chorus is the same, but different lyrics in the verses, and also kind of a different melody structure to the verses. So there is a difference to both versions, I think. The thing I would cut, the last track on here is My World, and it's kind of like an electronic quasi-rap that Axl is doing. I guess it points to where he wanted to go because he took Guns N' Roses in a more electronic direction later. Kind of a throwaway, but I mean, it's like a minute and a half. It's at the end of the album. I feel like it could just be a bonus track. You could just stop it after Don't Cry. But yeah, I just wanted to stick up for these albums. I think they're fantastic. If you count this as a double album, this is, in my opinion, one of the best double albums out there. 2.5 hours, and I really wouldn't cut any songs from it besides, like I said, that little electronic shit at the end of part 2. Yeah, that is it, guys. So don't fall for the Vinyl Me Please scam. The new Dream Theater, and don't sleep on these if you haven't heard them, or if you have heard them, I don't know, maybe go back and check them out again. I think I don't ever get tired of them. And considering that Guns N' Roses kind of went where they went, and there's probably not going to be any new music to speak of that is worth talking about. I think if they flamed out, this is a great way to flame out. So thanks, guys. Appreciate everyone watching. And the G stands for Goto. Later.